Welcome to the buymeacoffee.com/James Poe Artistry, the coffee tips page that supports my James Poe Artistry creative productions and work. See also jamespoeartistry.online. Do people really have to be this way? Hello, Perceptive Readers. This is James Lynch, and thank you for spending a few moments with me here to talk about this subject. Here is a statement that was made to a person recently, okay? And the statement was made that they know why some people didn't like this other individual. And they actually said, it's because they were telling this individual that you are not cutthroat. You know, and that can apply certainly in business practices and things of that nature. And you know what the individual responded back in the conversation was this, that their conscience, at least, was still clean before God on the way that they do their business practices. And then they also went on to say other matters. But this is what I still want to elaborate on with you, perceptive readers. See, think about this. Remember, God has already made it clear in his word, the Bible, what we can stand on. And when we stand on it, when we also use our mind and our spirit and our body, our skills, you see, to stand for what is good, a good work. See, a good work. See, that's action. And I told you that those actions certainly will involve maybe physical good actions, but also our mental, intellectual property as well. You see? So with that being said, when you conduct all things honestly, you see, and principle like the Bible talks about, then you don't have to, as I mentioned, run and always be asking this person or that person what to do. Because what you're doing actually falls within just normal boundaries every day of what you need to do to make a living. You see what I'm saying? And also, it falls within your realm of responsibility from God. What happens, as I mentioned, when people try to lord their authority over you, they will still make it seem like at times that you don't have authority that you really do have, that you don't have actions that you are taking, that it really is your responsibility to take those actions. See, I've emphasized before, you got people, according to their conscience, they take care of their family and they defend their family. You see what I'm saying? And you have some of these same persons who will sit up there and try and disarm, to use that expression, your ability to use the laws of the land to defend your faith, your ability to report crimes. You see, remember, if you have someone who is committing a crime, remember we covered that section of, it was at their website as well, that section of what is the responsibility of a citizen. So when citizens, and I've even seen reports today that you still have citizens, not only watching a crime being committed, a bunch of them all around, not only watching the crime, but some of them laughing, and then some of them just filming it, at least. I've seen some of those films before. And so what do you think your responsibility as a citizen is during that matter? You know what? You should be calling the police quicker than you will be just filming it. Or at the very least, since everybody got a cell phone, then you could tell the next person, call the police, and you're recording it. You see, even back in the day, before we had cell phones, you still had one person who would sometimes run in the house, run to the nearest payphone to report somebody just getting almost like beat to death, while the other person, who may not have been as strong as the person who was beating the other person up, was still very close enough saying, stop it. You don't need to be doing it. See, at least there was some type of support. It certainly wasn't a time for just sitting there and laughing. How far have so many fallen in that view? And see, and that's one reason why it talks about in the book of Timothy, where it says that, people would just lose natural affection. And just because some people have lost their natural affection, that doesn't mean we dumb down what we know and what our rights are by God and what he expects us to do, to be told to curtail or stop a right here and there when it's really just a criminal trying to find another crack in your defenses. No, you don't have to do that. Not in these days that we're living in now. And this is what I want to emphasize in closing. Sure, people will tout, well, we're living in the last days, and you better believe, yes, we're living according to what Jesus was saying. And at the same time, his commandments are still true. The two greatest commandments. There's more, I told you, statements of peace. And when he talked about that he came to put a sword, once again, he was talking about those same type of people that I described, who would just watch somebody getting beat up, laughing at them, wouldn't even call cops or anything. See, those type of people that his teachings would cause a sword with. So it's not him trying to agitate anybody. He's trying to save people. His teachings are trying to save people. It's the people who have fallen so low in their spiritual comprehension, natural affection, fellow feeling for their, fellow man and woman, that some of them would get so agitated. And when they get to that level, then you do test even what they're saying. You have God's word. You certainly have his love, that when you're doing the best that you can, you know what? Whatever that they take, again, then they take it. They're the ones taking it. They're putting themselves straight before God, and not because they convinced you to do something or give up something or give up your relationship with God, as I told you before, that is not negotiable. That is not something that God has told us to give up. He has never told us to give up our relationship with him for any other type of worship or man. Now, has he? We are not ignorant of Satan's designs. So the whole point in these days that we do live in, I want to remind you, it doesn't mean that our freedom, as God has given us, is an escape. How does it go? Is an excuse for loose conduct. Notice that, loose, Loose, conduct. Some of you know that just has a deeper meaning to it now, don't you? And that's what a lot have done. Hurting persons on purpose. Saying being cutthroat, it's normal. I mean, actually promoting it, when the point is honest business practices involve conversation, involve contracts. All you have to do is look at the persons who didn't use contracts, you see, in the way that they should have, or dialogue or conversation the way that they should have. And now some of them, you would say, got karma coming to them because the whole way, the foundation of the way that you set this whole thing up with them in the first place was just crooked. It just had too many holes in it for you still not to say some of these persons didn't have mitigating circumstances in what they did. But see, that takes honest judges to search that through. Judges have to stay neutral to a lot of stuff. Yeah, they do, if they want to be good judges and be willing to get to the bottom of it and not be rushing to judgment. Read Psalms 80, how serious God takes when someone sit themselves in the judgment seat of godhood. That is not a light responsibility. So I say to you again, you can try to come at a person indirectly even sometimes. And depending on your conscience and what you feel God's Holy Spirit moving in you to do, you do. And I've told you once, I told you before, some of these persons, you don't be unreasonable. You cannot expect a person that you know because of your situation, you would be almost like one of those bystanders that they were talking about today that sit up there and watch a crime, somebody get beat to death practically. And I'm not saying it's to jump on nobody. What I'm still trying to tell you is you can't expect for somebody then to have wholehearted confidence. And when you tell them something God has already given them and put in their heart to say, this is yours. Same thing like with Naboth's vineyard. You don't give it up. Naboth, who was killed by that wicked King Ahab, he was obeying God's law. He really was, by telling him, no, don't take my vineyard. And so what did that wicked king do? Okay. Have a very wonderful day, Perceptive readers. You stand firm. You stand firm because you already see the state of the world. These people want to just talk about you and talk you down from protecting yourself, your family, and your people. Because as you know, you sit up there and you sit down and all they'll do is just their little evil work. And see, and some of these people who don't understand what's going on with prophecy, they think that's what's really supposed to happen to you on the individual level. But that's why I'm here to tell you today, no, it's not. I know prophecy, and that's why I thank the true God in heaven for training me the way that he has. And see, the point is, no matter how much you want me to go with a prideful way of saying, act like, oh, I wasn't taught this or that or whatever. You know what? The point is, if somebody taught this to me, I'm going to tell you who taught it to me. If there's an organization that, once again, I appreciate their good work or whatever, I'm going to mention it. Even if they deny me, I'm going to still mention it. Why? Because God's organization will endure forever. And these imposters and crooked persons not going to hide behind God's true organization. And because of their bad actions and their bad judgments, so that people act like it all need to go. It don't all need to go. Jehovah God said it don't all need to go. His church, if that's the way you look at it, endures forever, will stay forever. You deal with these individuals. If you're a judge, you have a high responsibility, even before Jehovah God, to search through the evidence, not sit up and go off hearsay, and also to judge in righteousness. Righteousness does involve mercy and fair and balanced sentencing. I'm telling you, try to put somebody in jail for this or that, for really, it would have been still considered a misdemeanor. Oh, no. Your corruptness, your ways of Satan in this way, harshness, is what we are supposed to expose. You have people who want to judge righteously. You want people who can handle that. Even if somebody even took a life, then you know what? You still treat them with dignity, with due process, up to the point of whatever the sentence happened to be, because we know how serious that can be. But when you start getting into crimes or like robbery or things of that nature, and you didn't, and it wasn't a crime of violence or what have you, then you know what? All I can just tell you from one different judge, the way they may do it, to this different way, to try to throw a book at somebody who didn't do a crime of violence or what have you, that goes to show that maybe you can just look at that account with Jesus and the way that he dealt with that one woman as well. And then you look at those harsh spiritual leaders, if you will, how they stirred up the people and they were wrong in their view, and what type of judgment they were putting on that woman. Jesus stopped it. Take care.